This podcast is sponsored by Pogo, Property Operations on the Go. Facility managers know how challenging it can be to keep everything running smoothly. That's why Pogo was created, a white-labeled software solution designed by property managers for property managers. Pogo is your ultimate all-in-one platform for managing multiple assets. With Pogo, you communicate with your tenants, manage maintenance requests, control property access, manage bookable spaces, and much more. Plus, with advanced analytics, Pogo empowers you to optimize your operations anytime, anywhere. The best part? Pogo is completely customizable to fit your brand and business. Simplify your operations, enhance tenant satisfaction, and save money with Pogo. Ready to make the switch? Visit gopogo.us to schedule your demo today. Pogo, one system, multiple solutions at your fingertips. Hello everyone, Mark Beffort here, bringing you relevant discussions with community leaders in the real estate world. Stan, here we are today.
Hey Mark.
How you doing?
I'm excited.
Well, I'm excited to have you here. Yeah. So Stan Lingo of Lingo Construction, one of the leading contractors here in town, construction companies in town. I won't just call you a contractor. You're a full-fledged construction company. And I've had the pleasure of working with you recently. We've done 3 or 4 projects, including the Convergence, which is, for me, it was a $150 million project, but for you, you had about $100 million on that.
99 million point something. It was real critical to be under 100.
Under 100. I kind of like to be over 100, but that's okay. It turned out great. And just glad to have you here today because the experience that we had really opened my eyes about really what it's like to be in a true partnership with everyone involved, from the architect, the construction company, and as you know, we probably won't get into it today because I don't want to give any secrets away. But we had some challenges on that site that we had to endure. So I want to take a quick step back and tell me a little bit about how you got into the construction business.
Well, a longer story, but make it really, really fast, is it started by mowing a yard when I was 14 years old. Believe it or not. It was I lived up the street from a young architect who's getting ready to celebrate 50 years this year, Frank Reese.
Oh, and, Reese Associates.
Yeah, Reese Associates. He was lived down the street in a rent house when he was a young man starting his business. And I went down the street, knocked on his door, and said, "We need to mow your yard," and negotiated the deal. And then, as a true contractor,
what'd you get paid on that first mow job?
I don't remember, but it was either single dollars or very low double dollars, $10, $12 or something. But true general contractor fashion, I went back up the street and negotiated with my brother and his little buddy to mow the yard and let them mow the yard. I did. True story.
And you took the spread.
I did. I took the spread.
Oh my God! Seriously?
Yeah. Frank Reese always laughed about that. He said he came outside his door, and there was these 2 kids that couldn't even push on the top rail. They were pushing on the mid rail of the mower.
Oh my God!
To mow the yard, and that started a relationship with Frank.
What a great story.
Yeah. And the Magnolia building on Broadway is where he was at the time. Mm-hmm. And so about a year after that, so I was 15, I started running blueprints for him in the Magnolia building, and worked for him off and on through high school and college, and really matured up in that time because I'm working with architects that are just out of college, and for a young high school kid, it was pretty worldly experience, to see that and to see how buildings are done, and that started the process.
Well, now, so you're by trade a structural engineer. Tell me how you got into the structural engineer.
Yeah, so I went to Stillwater to be an architect. Enrolled in architecture school, and that's where I met my wife. My wife is from Tulsa, and she was in architecture school. Mm-hmm. And coming out of the school, I was a structural engineer, no longer in architecture. Okay. And she was a registered nurse and no longer in architecture. And so somehow architecture played a piece, but we both left with different degrees and kind of shaped who we were and what we were going to do. So.
Now, today, your wife is partners with you and very active in the business, correct?
It is. So for the entire 27 years we've been in business, we have sat side by side and awesome. Worked, and we're equal partners, and she really takes care of the financial side of our, with lots of help, the financial side of our company, and I take care of the building side of our company. And then when we go home at night, we hobby farm together, quite honestly, and so we spend almost every day fully together.
That's really good. Do you drive to work together?
No, that's our quiet time.
That's your quiet time.
That's a quiet time. I come early. My habits are early in the day when it's quiet. She's a little bit more, regular hours, and she loves being a grandma, so she leaves a little bit earlier too.
So I don't want to get off track too much from construction, but I do that you have a farm.
I do.
Recently. So what do you do on this farm?
Yeah, so we raise wheat and raise cows. We have about 100 mama cows, and so we have cows, calves, and the whole thing. But that's what keeps me grounded. Honestly, I couldn't do the pace I do in construction without the farm, because the farm gives me the time to settle down at night. It's hardly ever inside when it's daylight.
That's cool.
So we're out on a ATV or four-wheeler looking at the cows in the evening as the sun goes down together. Sometimes we don't even talk. We just go out and look, and then I drive the tractor some, and it's just that's what grounds me. And I've made most of my big business decisions in the quiet of farming. So
you're approaching 30 years in business.
Mm-hmm.
You're a couple of years away from that. You're 27, 28 years.
Right.
Why'd you start Construction Lingo?
It was, I've always kind of known it was going to happen. I set some things happen in life that kind of led me to believe I have faith of the things and the experiences in life lead to what's next. And all through my 20s, things pointed to something else was coming. And I just prepared myself for that. And I got an offer from a large national contractor to go to work for them, supposedly to do engineering, but within a week I was building buildings for them. Mm-hmm. And that was a great career shift. That's not really where I wanted to be after I got in this big giant corporate world of construction. And James Pickle called me one night. Really cool story. I mean, I'm thinking I have messed up on this big construction company because I'm building lots of stuff that I'm very green. And I came home one Friday night and told Renee, man, I think I have messed up. I think I should have stayed an engineer. And James Pickle had been pursuing me for a couple of years, or about a year and a half, every 6 months, and just saying, Stan, you need to come to work for us. And first time I said no for some reason, second time was for no reason. And one Friday night I came home and I said, Renee, we've messed up. I think I should have stayed an engineer. And I literally said, I so wish Pickle would call me one more time. And literally 20 minutes later, Pickle called Renee, or called on our house phone, and that's back before cell phones.
I got goosebumps. You gotta be kidding
20 minutes later.
Wow, that's a God thing.
It's a God thing. She drags his phone, remember the old cord before you had the cordless phones?
Oh, yeah.
Drug that cord out on the back porch. I'm grilling hamburgers Friday night, and said, it's Pickle on the line. And I went to work for him, and it's really what shaped me for today. Wow. Is because Sam Smith was, he was a great builder, firm builder, hard man. I mean, you worked hard for him, but he taught you how to build a great quality building. Yeah. And then James taught you the boardroom. And that 4 years I was with Smith & Pickle set the course for where I'm at today.
The interesting thing is, so Smith Pickle Construction now is the different company name,
yep.
But James is still a consultant with you today, is he?
He works for me. He's actually an employee.
Oh, no way. Okay.
Yeah, he does.
What a great patriarch in the construction business James is, and have him in that. I mean, that's got to be great leadership for some of your younger folks within your company. It's
just he brings just that voice. It's really lonely sometimes running a company, right? Yeah. And he brings that voice that just settles me sometimes. Yeah, and it's incredible. We recently chased a project you're involved with in the last couple of weeks, and we were competing against people that had done many of the things we were competing against, and we hadn't built one.
Wow.
And he helped me settle, focus on the strategy, and help me deliver. And he wasn't in the room, but he was in the room. It's really cool.
Yeah, well, I sat in that presentation, and it was clear that you guys had really prepared very well for that. So you did a great job on that. So let's move forward a little bit. Really start talking about some of the process from the construction standpoint. First thing let's talk about construction business is hard. And today, construction costs have accelerated with inflation and just the amount of work that we have going on in labor. How do you manage the construction acceleration in pricing and labor cost?
Yeah. It's the most important thing you can do on a project is set the first price right.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
or set the expectation for the client.
Yes.
On that first price.
Yeah. To make sure the budget is right on the first one.
That's right.
Because if it is a really painful project, if you set a budget to the wish and not reality, because what that means is you're going to make bad decisions as you go. Mm-hmm. And so if you can, I've just learned is let's hit the bad news early. Mm-hmm. And then let's figure out how to make the project work. We do a lot of developer work and private sector work. And a private sector job does not happen unless the developer is going to make money. Mm-hmm. You have a client who can be in the building at a right price point. The contractor makes money. And then there's the workforce. The bankers are involved. I mean, it's amazing how many people make a building happen. It's 10, 15 organizations. And so budget first, and then creative solutions. And I really think that's where my architectural background, mm-hmm. my engineering background serves us well, is because I can dream what if instead of what I see. Yeah. And as you get older, your filter comes off a little bit maybe, and the what if becomes stronger. So.
Yes. So let's talk about that early expectations, setting those expectations for the mm-hmm. client. Is having you involved in the process up front, is that beneficial or harmful?
And I won't do construction that's not this way.
Okay.
I've alienated some clients because I won't bid their work when they want to bid it against 5 people after the drawings are done. Mm-hmm. I just truly believe that the construction management process, where everybody's a team, because it's all team. Mm-hmm. It's all team. Is that if we all work together, we're going to have a better project, And I believe that enough that we say no if we're asked to bid. It'll make some clients leave us. Mm-hmm. But we believe it enough that it's worth really setting that as a principle. So we believe at the table, either slightly before or slightly after the architect, right, is the right way.
Well, I distinctly remember about 3 or 4 years ago when we started the Convergence project. Mm-hmm. I called you and you came to my office and we talked I wanted to bring you in because I'm a firm believer in that as well. Yep. Because that's the only way you get an ultimate good product. But you were passionate about wanting to do that process and be part of that job. What was it about Convergence that you felt like you needed to be part of that job?
Convergence was it's a signature project. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a signature project from being in the health science district. That's a focus of Lingo, to be in health, bio, and research. And so it was like the next step in that. Yeah. Everything about it. I mean, originally it was called innovation, right? Right. And so that's who we want to be, as innovators in what we do, how we do construction, and the type of buildings. And so one is the building by itself was attractive. Yeah. 2 was the team was attractive. Yeah. Who the tenants were going to be was attractive. So all those pieces were there together. And then as you think of builders, if you think about my team, I think I have some of the most talented people in Oklahoma or this region. And as I've worked with national contractors, I would say our team is stronger than most national players. Yeah. I mean, it just makes me proud of Oklahoma.
But I would agree with that. Yeah. And I want to get into a little bit of that.
So that type of team member I have does not want the plain Jane building. Mm-hmm. And so the other thing that's attractive about Convergence is you're going deep in the ground with you're going against the property line. All these things that, quote, make this building hard. It had great structural steel structural concrete that we wanted to expose. And so there's the artist side of that. Right. We had the concept of plaza. We had multiple buildings. It was attractive to my employees because they are attracted to hard, difficult buildings. Yeah. And then the budget was an issue. And that's, I believe, where we excel in fighting the fight. It's easy to lay down and just take it for what it is. But it's also kind of fun to fight and be the lead through the solutions.
Well, absolutely, and anybody can build just a box, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, you sat in my office, and frankly, I will tell you, at the time, I really didn't believe you, but I was willing to take the bet on it. You said, "This is personal to me, and I'm going to be personally involved in this project." And I said, inside, I'm going, Stan's got a lot going on. How in the world is he going to be able to really be involved? And you attended a majority of the meetings in the early stages to ensure that we were set on the right path.
Yep.
How do you navigate your time to be able to do that? I was impressed, Stan.
Yeah. Well, what I would say, this has been about a 10-year journey, very focused in the last 5 years, of how do I replace myself so I can do the parts I want to do, the fun parts. I've watched that in you, and how you have said, I want to be in this area, that market. And so you put other people in place that are very skilled at handling what the other things, right?
Right.
And so for me, it is putting people in place that can help Renee and lead in the financial world. Put people in place that know data, so that, because if we know the numbers, there's a lot of comfort that it's okay. So if you can get these markers of, hey, here's a yellow light that we need to look at, and you can get it through information that comes to you, instead of having to go ask 100 questions and making everybody defensive. So that is one of the things that happened. But the key thing is the hiring of great people. We have changed our hiring process 15 years ago. Let us find great people. And now those people, as they've been here for 10 or 15 years, have matured into their own leaders. And so now what that means is I'm able to take some of those leaders and put them in charge of 10. Some of those people, put them in charge of 100, and really set up our companies so that the building side, once we're building, is managed by others. And they bring me in because they say, here's a yellow light you need to know about. And what that lets me do is focus on pre-construction.
Yeah. Okay.
And pre-construction is where I am gifted to change a project.
No, you are, and it's remarkable. I sit back a lot of times, and you make my job easier as a developer, because frankly, if I could have you on my team on every job, I would, Stan.
Yeah.
Because
thank you.
So in your team, I want to kind of talk about some of your team.
Yeah.
Jeremy and Jacob were the leads on Convergence, and I was just in awe at times on their attention to detail and their desire to get it done right. And the organization that you have, that you do at a job site, is truly remarkable. I have not seen it. Is that the system that you put in place? Is that your own system, or did you learn that from somebody else? Hey, how did that evolve?
Yeah, that's 27 years.
Yeah.
We have often said, as we've grown our company, if somebody's doing it this way, we want to do it 100% opposite. And that's a pretty naive statement, actually, because as you grow and scale, you realize that your competitor once was your scale, and they all kind of evolve into the same structure.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So they all went through that. Early on, there was a Mr. something that was the young leader of that company as he was building it, and they all evolved to look the same. And so we fight that evolution to look like everybody else. Our goal is to do it different. But, I would say one of the big things that we do is study the personality of the people that we have on our teams. And so Jeremy and Jacob are 100% opposites. We use DISC in our company. There's lots of those things, but we use DISC. And, Jacob's a C, completely in the details, and a little bit, on that dominant side of a CD. And then Jeremy is in really cares about people. Not that Jacob doesn't care about people, but he's more of a uniter of the team. And they're an awesome team together because they were different.
Yeah.
If they were the same, they would not be as strong.
Yeah. So, as you go through, all projects start with an idea. Somebody like myself or an architect has an idea. How do you navigate taking an idea and bringing those folks that have an idea, like myself and an architect? How do you help guide our thought process to something that's a reality? Because a lot of times things aren't constructible, either because they're just designed incorrectly, because they ultimately have to be built, or they're just not feasibly financial. How do you help navigate people like myself and architects to keep us on track?
Yeah, it's let's go back to the engineer again. Is that it's all about information and numbers, really. Buildings is numbers and communication of the numbers. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
And so the creative nature of myself, J.P. Craig in my office is super creative, an architectural background, and he and I together had just developed this ability to take a concept and get it built. And the way you get it built is you provide information for you to make a great decision. And so I shape the decisions because of what I like, but it's ultimately your decision. And so I need to give you all the data points to be able to allow you to make those decisions well in an educated way.
Well, how frustrated were you with me during our process of convergence when you had to go through a complete redesign to make that project work?
Well, I'll be honest with you, it was exciting.
Yeah.
Because the redesign piece of it was the challenge to get to an endpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little bit, if you remember, there's a little bit of resistance you can't get there from some naysayers, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And that invigorates me to get it done, to make it happen. And so that's the competitive nature of
right. Yeah. Because there's always a way. You just need to.
Yeah. You
need to get. And sometimes some folks just don't want to deviate from their thoughts.
Yeah.
And
we what's interesting about the construction industry is you have some really strong personalities in the room. Mm-hmm. When you have a developer who's been successful over a number of years, I'm not saying you, but you're an individual person with a
type A,
with a strong personality, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get architectural personalities in the room. You get engineering personalities of we've always done it this way, and you get contractors that say we've never built it that way. And it's like, how do you unite that group?
Right.
And that is the fun part.
No, it is fun.
That is the fun part. Unite the group to solve a problem. I can tell you, technology is really changing in construction right now. Mm-hmm. Waterproofing systems and building systems and glass systems and I would say, the last 5 years we've really focused on having more backbone to stand up and say we got to do it a different way. Yeah. There was a time in the middle of our career where we were just happy to be at the table,
right?
And we weren't as strong. But now it's like we're here for a reason. Mm-hmm. And let's stand up for that reason. And so, used to be our buildings, because of architectural detailing or constructability issues that we didn't construct well or something, would maybe have a leak. And it's like I don't want to put up with that anymore. And so, we've grown more backbone in doing what's right as well. And so we've become a better team member, I believe, in the last 4 or 5 years just because of that. So.
Yeah. So you have become the predominant construction company in the core of Oklahoma City. We've had continued renaissance, and we have a lot more happening. 4 new buildings have been built. Mm-hmm. You built 3 of those 4. Yeah. And you have done the Oklahoma Commons, which is now Strata Tower, which is the old Sand Ridge Tower. You built the Parkside building. You built extension of a garage for me at the City Center East garage. Yep. And the projects just go on and on. You got another parking garage being built in the Bricktown area right now. What's been your hardest project in the core? And what are some of the things that you have to do to navigate in an urban core environment?
The hardness of working in the core has actually made us a better builder, because when you think about building in the core, you don't have giant lay down space. Mm-hmm. You have the interference of all the public as they try to compete with you for space around your job sites. And so building the core, multiple things have happened. One is being 27 years old, that's still a really young company. And so we have the advantage of doing small things first, and then medium size, and then large. Yeah. We would never be able to do one of the projects downtown if we hadn't done a small 2-story renovation in Midtown, because those type experiences prepared us for the next step, and the next step prepared us for the next. And so, to me, that answer doesn't seem so clear because it's just been a journey for us. But what it's also done for us is if we can build a 12-story building with literally one traffic lane on two sides, well, that means we're going to become great planners.
Yeah.
That means we're going to become great interfaces with the public. 5 years ago, we didn't have site coordinators on our projects. Now we have site coordinating specialists in our company. And those people who were probably a carpenter or laborer earlier in their life have become great coordinators of 100 semi-loads of material a day, interacting with the public every day, interacting with the streetcar. And those type of situations have made us create a new job a position that is a building professional.
Yeah.
And that our site coordinators are building professionals, just like we are as a project manager or something.
So I want people to understand that you're not just a builder of new stuff. You recently, or we're almost towards the end of it, not quite done yet, but did the renovation of the Skirvin Hotel.
Yeah.
We bought the Skirvin, and we went to you because we've had some horrible experiences across the country. We bought 10 hotels across the country, and there's a group of folks, a group of construction companies that just do hotels. They're not all very good, and I will tell you, my experiences, I would stack you up against any one of those. The process that you guys took to help us with the renovation of every guest room and everything on the common areas and all of our banquet rooms and everything, we were under budget and faster than we had originally planned.
Yeah.
And that's critical because we're running a hotel. And then the cleanliness of that site to ensure that our guests are able to navigate. We can't just shut that hotel down. And so tell me about some of those projects, and did you enjoy doing that deal at the Skirvin?
Yeah. What's really enjoyable is sometimes I don't even know what happens. Well, because I trust the people behind me that build. One of the stories was that Megan and yourself actually said, thank you for taking care of a special event we had in the lobby. And I didn't actually know the steps that our team took to get ready for that until you said thank you. And I said, well, great, thank you very much, taking credit for it. And I didn't know about it. And I'll go back and talk to my team after that because I am I want to make sure I praise the people who pulled it off. And I praise those people. And so I went back to talk to our team and understood what they did. And praised, and we celebrate those things as we go. One of the a couple cool stories about working in that block is we were across the street in the Bank First for a long, long time. By the way, I didn't mean to leave that out. You did the complete renovation of the Bank First Tower, which was the old Liberty Tower. One over on Broadway. And I believe we're doing Skirvin because of a couple of our character of our people, right? Right. Oh, 100%. And so as we're doing the Bank First building, entire block, reskin a entire building while it's occupied, 7,900 something panes of glass. Wow. While it's occupied. And learning that customer care of how to replace a window in somebody's office and only have them gone for a few days is really incredible. But Jim Clark, we renovated BC Clark downtown. Jim Clark called me, just like you called me to come do Convergence. We don't market, people call. And Jim Clark called me and said, Stan, we want you to renovate our first floor showroom because I walked by your job site the last 300 days or something like that and see how you take care of the people around it and how you take care of the trash. And so think about that. Some of the people that most construction companies would see as pawns, somehow we've got our carpenters and laborers to see the value and represent Lingo well in picking up trash, and they got us the BC Clark job. That's awesome. And, that's so cool. And one more thing there. I think it was David Harlow. It was one of the Bank First execs. I think it was David Harlow. Sent me a picture of one of our site coordinators helping a lady to her car through a handicapped parking space when she couldn't get there, and just said, "This is what makes you different."
Man, that's so cool.
And it was so cool to get that and to be so proud of the people that work for you.
So what's been your hardest job?
Hardest job. I love hard jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I would put the Marion Hotel on 10th Street because it kept trying to fall down while we were trying to renovate a 1908 building.
Oh, wow. Kept trying to fall down. So structurally, you had to make a lot of repairs to the structure.
As we went, we saved the outside walls, and basically everything else was new.
And was that known going in, or were those things
known going in?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when you would go in, it was leave a trail in case somebody needs to come find you. It's like it had been on fire, and it had not been occupied for 20 or 30 years. So there's the hardness of a renovation project. There's been the hardness of sometimes when maybe your team didn't deliver what we expected. Been those type hard projects. But as far as the hardness of building buildings, I love the planning side. 120 Kerr, now the Parkside, now the Zig that you are very familiar with and help with was a really cool project.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For that.
So only Oklahoma City? Have you gone outside of Oklahoma City? Do you plan to go?
Yeah, we travel wherever our clients want us to go.
So what's the farthest place you've gone?
We've done a little bit of work in Pennsylvania back in the oil and gas days.
Okay.
But the projects of scale have been Midland and Odessa.
Have you done anything in New York City?
We actually looked at putting a dog wash once in New York City.
A dog wash?
I was with some developers who were doing dog washes.
That doesn't sound like it's
20
very
years ago.
profitable for you to be doing a dog wash.
I'm glad we didn't. I'm glad we didn't do it, but we almost did. We were prefabricating them and going to ship them all over the nation.
So we have a hotel at 32nd and Broadway in New York City.
Yeah.
I need you there.
I'm willing to go. I actually know a really good contractor in New York City.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah. I've studied my competitors in in different markets and try to interact with the ones I respect and have done that.
Okay, so one of my concerns, we have a lot going on in Oklahoma City. When you look at all the projects both from a public and private sector, there's 12 to 15 billion dollars that are happening today or going to happen within the next 10 to 15 years. We've never seen this type of growth before. Our unemployment rate is 2.6%.
Too low.
We're at full employment. If you want a job, you can find a job. I'm concerned that with all this work being done, both private and public, that we're going to have significant challenges from a labor and material standpoint. How do we navigate some of that stuff?
I think the shift is starting to happen. As we, for probably the last 10, 15 years, is everybody's got to go to college, and that's not for everybody. A skilled craftsman in his trade is going to be making, $80,000 to $100,000, and so people don't realize that being a craftsman lets you support a family and do well in Oklahoma. And so I think over the last 4 or 5 years, the career tech focus, and the 2-year OSU Okmulgee type programs, have really shown as, man, there's great value here. How do we recruit people to these areas? Because in the construction industry, really, if you think about that, we have some people who come through the trades and work into, leaders in the construction industry. And you have some people come college path and get there, but what we really are short of are the trades, the people to do the glass, the plumbing, the electrical, and all that. And so it started to turn because, right now, we have 2 Oklahoma City public school high school students in our office almost every day.
Oh, yeah.
They're there from 9 to noon, and we support that program. So, start to get that voice out. We host career days where teachers come to our job sites multiple times a year to lead the teachers to understand that this is a great career path for their students. We spend a lot of time in the different career techs around donating materials, supplies, and people. The most important thing we can donate is people to interact with them.
Yeah.
We're starting to serve on the boards of things that are there, but probably the most important thing for us is Lingo Construction is to make sure we invest in people we already have.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so we spend a lot of money on continuing education. Like we pay for anybody's continuing education that they desire to improve themselves, because being a builder can be a very professional career.
Oh yeah.
And so it's not just I'm a builder. It is I can be a very professional builder. And so we try to really raise up expectation of the people on our staff to always be in self-improvement.
So what changes do you see happening in the construction business, both from a labor standpoint, but just from a process standpoint over the next 5 to 10 years?
We use AI in estimating now. We're outsourcing the counting of components to India right now on our plans.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're still pricing it, we're still estimating it, we're still doing the creative side, but we're using people in India to count things, right? And how many doors are in this building? And it's amazing how fast it'll come back and how economical that is for our owners. We still have to do the creative side, the artistic side of that. Definitely robotics will start to come in. It's in the early stages, but they have robotic bricklaying machines now, right? And that's just at the start. It's not on our job sites, but that's starting. The use of digital layout tools and those things are already happening. We're using three-dimensional layouts, so there's less mistakes in the field of clashes where the pipes are coming together in the wrong place. And so technology is definitely a big part, and then prefabrication. We built some glorious restrooms for the state of Oklahoma, right, to go to all the state parks, and which was a great project for us. And I think but when we started, we built 150 of them in our shop. Yeah. And we started, we had 750 man hours per restroom unit, and when we finished, we were less than 280 or something like that.
Wow. And
so that speaks to what can prefabrication do for an owner and a client and the budget on the project. Wow.
So, what advice would you give to somebody that wants to get in the construction business?
We love diversity in background. And so when I think about my leadership team, me as a structural engineer in my background, JP has an architectural background, our CFO had an oil and gas background. The people who lead my project teams, one has a construction management degree, one's an interior designer. And so diversity of background is actually great. And so don't think just because I don't have a construction management degree, I can't be a builder. So the advice would be is experience life, get that diversity of background, and then start in. And when you start, have a servant mindset. Instead of you owe me something, just be willing to pick up the broom and sweep. One of the things that we have on every job description in our company is willing to pick up the broom and sweep.
Yeah, I love that.
And I mean, all the way into my job description, everybody. And that's that really was set up by Tom Berkeley, one of our vice presidents. That's really, you'll see him on a job site, and if it's dirty or if there's concrete to be finished and it's not right, he jumps in. And that character is just all through our company. So
Right. So do you primarily work in the public or private sector, or you got a little bit of mix of both?
Yeah, for the first 20 years, we're almost entirely private. Yeah. And I think that's what shaped us is that private side. And then we said, it seems like everybody wants to be a construction manager now. Yeah. All right. Oh, yeah. And they're going to ruin, I'm sure you experience this in the real estate side. Low quality real estate services will ruin the business, right? And so we saw what was being delivered in the public side and said, man, we can do better. Yeah. And so we entered the public market probably 7-8 years ago. And so now we're roughly somewhere around probably 60% private, 40% public. Yeah. Wow. So,
Stan, this is I didn't know some of that stuff about you. So it's been a great discussion. Really appreciate your time and appreciate your friendship and support of me. And I'm your greatest supporter and will always be there for you, whatever you need. So.
Well, I feel like it's both ways. the way that you run, as far as your daily pace,
Yeah.
and the vigor that you bring to and the calmness. What I hope to have is not have the rise and lower of my presence in a job.
Yeah.
You are so calm when you deliver that that's invigorating for me to see how you can handle the stress that's inside and deliver it in a calm way,
Yeah.
and be a unifier of teams.
Yeah, you have to. You have to. So appreciate the friendship.
Yep.
Man. Thanks for
Appreciate
being
it.
here today.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. In our next episode, we're joined by Harrison Levy, a longtime real estate investor in numerous ventures across Oklahoma City. With decades of experience in retail investment and development, Harrison shares what's changed and what hasn't in the real estate landscape over the years.